Hermès made a men's fragrance with a plant called Sclarene. Not a flower. Not a wood. Not a resin. A molecule extracted from clary sage that smells like nothing else in perfumery, green, metallic, almost like the inside of a greenhouse crossed with a freshly snapped stem. The second that note hit me, I put down whatever I was doing. Because this is not another safe, soapy, inoffensive designer fragrance. This is something that actually takes a swing. H24 Eau de Parfum. £86. 100 milliliters. And I'm going to tell you something near the end of this video that almost changed my verdict entirely, something about the dry down that I did not see coming. Stay with me. Hermès is one of those houses that doesn't need to chase trends. Founded in 1837 as a harness workshop in Paris, they built an empire on leather, silk, and an almost obsessive commitment to craft. But their fragrance story is genuinely fascinating. They brought in master perfumer Jean-Claude Ellena in 2004 as their in-house nose, the first luxury house to do that in the modern era, and the work he produced redefined what a designer fragrance could be. Transparent, restrained, intelligent. Then in 2021, Christine Nagel, their current in-house perfumer, created H24. And this was a statement. The brief was apparently about modern masculinity, about the man of today who doesn't fit a mold. No heavywoods trying to signal power. No aquatics pretending to be interesting. Instead, Nagel reached for something botanically strange and philosophically bold. When Hermès makes a fragrance, they're not filling shelf space. They're making an argument. H24 EDP is their most recent argument, and it's worth hearing out. Let's talk about the object itself, because with Hermès, the object always matters. The bottle is architectural. It's got this rectangular, almost brutalist silhouette, flat sides, clean angles, a cap that sits with satisfying weight. The glass has a slight grey-green tint that feels deliberate, like it's referencing the botanical heart of the juice. The orange cap is that unmistakable Hermès orange, the color they've owned since forever, and it gives the whole thing a punch of warmth against the cool body of the bottle. Pick up the box and it has that dense, premium feel. The typography is restrained. Nothing is shouting at you. It sits on a shelf and looks expensive without being gaudy, which, frankly, is exactly what Hermès does in every category they touch. Does the bottle match the scent? Actually, yes. There's something about the clean geometry that echoes the precision of what's inside. This is not a maximalist fragrance, and the bottle doesn't pretend to be. It belongs on a bathroom shelf where people will pick it up and ask about it. That matters. Right. First spray. Here we go. You get this immediate, crystalline green hit, and that's the Sclarene doing exactly what it's supposed to do. It's not sharp or aggressive. It's more like the air inside a florist shop at 7 in the morning before the doors open. Cool. Vegetal. Alive. There's a freshness to it that isn't aquatic and isn't citrus, it's plant cellular. Like you've just snapped a stem and that cool rush of moisture hits your nose. Within the first few minutes, there's a neroli adjacent brightness that lifts things, a clean, slightly bitter white flower quality. It doesn't dominate, but it rounds off what could otherwise be a slightly stark opening. The projection in those first 15 minutes is confident. Not a room destroyer, but you will be noticed. There's a soft but definite radius around you. The opening is composed. That's the word. It's like a well-written first sentence, it tells you the register of everything that follows. And I think most people who try this on skin are going to pause. Because it doesn't smell like anything else on the market right now. As you move into the first hour, something interesting happens. The metallic green edge of the Sclarene starts to soften, and what emerges is rosewood. Now that might sound like it's going to push things in a warmer, sweeter direction, and initially you think, yes, here's where it gets conventional. But it doesn't. The rosewood here is woody and slightly powdery, but it's kept in check by that green signature. So what you're actually experiencing is this wonderful tension, something simultaneously natural and synthetic feeling, warm and cool, masculine and genuinely unisex. There's a quiet confidence to the heart that I find compelling. This is where the EDP formulation starts to prove its worth over the original EDT. There's more depth here. The heart has substance. You're not chasing the scent on your wrist wondering if it's still there. It's there, present, doing its thing with quiet authority. There's also a slight floral quality, something clean and slightly soapy in the best possible sense, that gives the heart a groomed, polished feel. This is the kind of fragrance that makes you smell like you've got your life together, without smelling like everyone else who's trying to smell like they've got their life together. Now, this is what I promised you at the start. At around the 3 to 4 hour mark, H24 EDP does something I genuinely didn't expect. The dry down introduces this warm, almost creamy woody base, there's a vetiver-adjacent earthiness that grounds everything, and then a cedarwood quality that adds just enough structure without ever becoming heavy. But here's the surprise, there's a subtle, almost imperceptible sweetness that emerges. Not gourmand. Not vanilla obvious. More like warm skin with a trace of something botanical and resinous underneath. I found the dry down to be the best phase of this fragrance. And I say that as someone who thought the opening was already impressive. The dry down is intimate. It pulls in close. It becomes a skin scent that feels like it belongs on you rather than something applied from a bottle. That's genuinely hard to achieve. If you're the kind of person who dismisses a fragrance on first spray, and a lot of people do, you are missing the actual point of H24 EDP. Give it 4 hours. Then decide. Honest numbers. On skin, you're looking at 8 to 10 hours with the EDP concentration. That is a significant improvement over the EDT version, and it's a meaningful upgrade that justifies the EDP price point. On fabric, a shirt collar, a jacket lapel, you can push that to 12 to 14 hours easily. I've had it linger into the next morning on a jacket. Sillage is moderate and intentional. This is not a beast mode fragrance. It is not designed to announce your arrival from the other side of the room. It creates a personal cloud, roughly an arm's length radius, that draws people in rather than overwhelming them. Think of it as conversational distance rather than grand entrance. The sweet spot for wearing this is morning through evening. It opens beautifully in cooler air, and autumn morning is practically designed for this. By the time you're in the afternoon, the heart has fully bloomed. And by evening, that intimate dry down means it works perfectly at dinner, at a bar, close to someone. Let me paint you a few pictures. If you're the type who wears a well-cut coat, drinks your coffee black, reads before bed, and genuinely can't stand fragrances that try too hard, this is yours. H24 EDP was made for you. It's intelligent without being pretentious. It has character without being loud. If you're someone who works in a creative field, design, architecture, writing, and you want a fragrance that communicates an aesthetic sensibility without saying a word, this is a statement piece. It's the olfactory equivalent of owning one beautifully designed chair instead of a room full of average ones. If you identify as someone who leans toward niche fragrances but occasionally finds them exhausting in their obscurity, H24 EDP is your bridge. It has niche DNA with designer accessibility. Best of both worlds. Now, who should not wear this? If you want compliments from strangers in a club, look elsewhere. This fragrance does not work that way. It's not sweet enough, not loud enough, not linear enough for that environment. If you want a fragrance your date notices from across the table on a first meeting without any context, you'll want something with more immediate projection. And if you are allergic to nuance in fragrance, if you want to know exactly what you're smelling at all times, the Sclarene note will frustrate you. It is genuinely unusual. Some people find it slightly unsettling on first encounter. Fair warning. £86 for 100 millilitres. That works out to 86 pence per milliliter. In the context of designer fragrance, where you're often paying £1 or more per ml for far less interesting juice, that is actually a defensible number. Are you paying for the name? Partially, yes. That is the honest answer. The Hermès brand carries weight, and the orange box contributes to the price. But the formulation here is genuinely considered. Christine Nagel used uncommon materials, built in real development arcs, and created something with a distinct creative identity. You are not just buying heritage branding. If you're looking for something that scratches a similar itch at a lower price point, I'd point you towards Salvatore Ferragamo's Acqua Essenziale Colonia. It shares some of that green fresh botanical energy at a fraction of the cost. It's not as complex, not as developed, but it earns its place as a comparison point. My score for H24 EDP is an 8 out of 10. It loses points because the projection is genuinely limited for some occasions, and the opening will alienate people who aren't ready for something unusual. But it earns its 8 because the dry down is outstanding, the longevity is excellent for the concentration, and it has a genuine point of view. In a market drowning in safe fragrances, having a point of view is worth something. You can pick this up at p-11.com. They stock the full 100 ml size, direct link is in the description below, and they're a reliable UK source if you want the real thing without the markup of a department store counter. H24 Eau de Parfum is one of the more genuinely interesting designer releases of the last few years, not because it's perfect, but because it's brave, it has depth, and the dry down alone makes the price of admission worth it. Here's what I want to know from you: if you already own H24 EDP, did that dry down do it for you? Or did you end up reaching for something else after a few weeks? Drop your honest answer in the comments, I read every single one. If honest fragrance reviews with no agenda are what you're here for, subscribe. I post every week and I'm never going to tell you something is brilliant if it isn't.